email was consistently rated as the medium that provided the highest return.
Hey, podcast listener, you're about to discover insider tips, tricks, and secrets to making more sales and converting more prospects into customers with email marketing. For more information about the Email Marketing Podcast or the Autoresponder Guy, go to dropdeadcopy.com/podcast. Hey everybody, it's John McIntyre here, the Autoresponder Guy, and it's time for episode 9 of the Email Marketing Podcast, where we talk about the top tips, tricks, and secrets for making more sales and growing your revenue with email marketing. Today, I'll be talking to Justin Premick from Aweber. Today's one is for the social media fanboys and fangirls out there. If you're into social media, you probably won't enjoy today's episode. But then again, how would you like to double or triple your revenue? Because if social media is your thing, that's what might happen if you switch to email. So pay attention. Now, you're going to find out why email marketing kicks the crap out of social media marketing. More on that in a minute. To get the show notes for this episode of the Email Marketing Podcast, go to dropdeadcopy.com/EP9. Now, before we get to Justin's interview, I have something that I think is kind of funny I want to share. The Email Marketing Podcast has its first 1-star review. Not 5 stars, 1 star. I just think it's kind of funny because maybe it's a troll, maybe it's not. It might be funny or it might not be, but I thought it was funny to bring it up. I can't actually find the actual review. All I know is it's there somewhere. And with any luck, hopefully I'll know by next week what the review says. And if I do and it happens to be funny, I'll share it with you guys. Anyhow, instead of that, how about a 5-star review? Everybody likes good news, right? This one's from Taylor Pearson. He goes, "Warning, listening to this podcast may actually make you money. Unlike 99% of the online marketing content out there, John actually delivers the real strategies and tactics that successful marketers are using. Since I've started listening to the podcast, I've rewritten our autoresponder sequence twice. The results? This is what I love. 2 consecutive months of record-breaking revenues. Keep rocking, John." That is a great review. Thanks for that, Taylor. Now, enough of that. Let's go get this party started. Over to Justin. It's John McIntyre here, the Autoresponder Guy, with the Email Marketing Podcast. I'm here with Justin Premick, the Director of Education Marketing at Aweber. How are you going today, Justin?
Doing great, John. How are you?
Fantastic, always. Now, I spoke to Tom last time, Tom Coles, the CEO over at Aweber, and we talked about email marketing, and I thought we'd get someone else on today to, once again, talk about email marketing and Aweber's kind of take on things. So let's begin, Justin. I think everyone's going to know a bit about Aweber, but let's start there. Tell us a bit about who are you and what sort of stuff do you do at Aweber?
Okay, sure. So quick overview for the couple people who may not be familiar with Aweber. We provide email marketing and newsletter services to small businesses, bloggers, nonprofits all over the world. And what I do at Aweber, I run our education marketing team. And what we do is we focus on teaching people how to create effective, profitable email campaigns that'll build lifelong customer relationships. So we're teaching you how to build your list, how to craft a series of email campaigns, how to tie Aweber and email into other processes that you might have in your business. We're sharing examples of what other companies are doing with email that's effective. And so what we're really trying to do is teach businesses how to do email better.
Fantastic. So you're directly involved in the area where you're teaching people how to do this stuff. Would you say that Aweber is one of the biggest autoresponder companies, at least in the internet marketing space?
Certainly. I mean, we're one of the larger email marketing software providers out there. And we definitely, as a result of having been around since 1998, have certainly picked up a lot of internet marketers as well as businesses and other industries as customers.
Okay, fantastic. So me and Justin, before we got on this call, we talked about a few topics. And one of the things that's coming up a lot lately is some people tend to say stuff like email is dead or email's not working anymore. Social media is all the rage. You've got social media companies and you want likes and tweets. But I believe, and I'm pretty sure Justin and everyone at Aweber probably agrees that email marketing is so much more effective than social media. So let's talk about that, Justin.
Yeah, it's really funny. There's always the new shiny thing that comes along. And I think marketers in particular, we're very susceptible to this. We spend a lot of time in front of our computers, spend a lot of time researching different technology, and we always like to find the next big thing. If you look at your average group of friends or business associates, chances are it's the marketing person who's the first one to have the new toy or the new gadget or whatever it is. And social media is certainly an example of that. And that this goes beyond just Twitter and Facebook, for example. I mean, you've got Path, you've got Pinterest, you've got Instagram, you've got all these other different things, and marketers are all over them. Just like you wouldn't believe. And there's a big push to capitalize on this. There's obviously an appeal to it. There's a lot of people on Facebook, a lot of people on Twitter. These things are growing quickly. Pinterest, Google Plus, all of these things. And so it's natural to say, well, if that's where the people are, then that's where the marketing return must be. And it's practically free. All it costs you is your time, really, in most cases, to market through these things. And so it's very tempting to start pushing resources and time there instead of to other older channels where you kind of know what you're getting, or you don't feel like it's as exciting or as fun. And email occasionally gets put in the crosshairs that way. I would echo sentiments very much that what I've found, not just through working at Aweber, but talking with customers and asking them what's working for their business, what's not, they're all very excited about their social presence. But when you really push, and we surveyed customers on this beginning of 2013 and asked them, okay, well, what are you spending your time on and what's working and what's not working? And email was consistently rated as the medium that provided the highest return on investment. You're putting money in, you're putting time into email, and you're getting out a lot more than you're putting in.
Absolutely. I mean, I spoke to James Schramko today about this, and his argument is that in his business, like email it's the highest leverage point. Like if you're trying to talking about like investment return, like the people that I speak to is that email is consistently delivering the highest returns more than Facebook and Twitter and all those things.
It's really not surprising when you think about it. You think about the way Facebook works or the way Twitter works, there's this constant stream of information. Sometimes you hear it called the fire hose. And it's great. I mean, you can follow a bunch of people on Twitter, you can follow a bunch of people on Facebook. They're all posting updates. But when those updates go away, when they've been posted and they've been kind of pushed down the stream by other stuff, well, how are you going to get back to them? I mean, you look at the response rates for Facebook and they're embarrassingly low in some cases. I mean, 0.5%, 0.25%. And that's true for a lot of businesses. I can say for ourselves, we do some pretty good stuff on Facebook, but the response rates are nowhere near email.
Right. I mean, what can people do if they're putting too much time into social media and they want to keep staying in that area? What's Aweber's advice for that? Should they get off that entirely, or should they start using social media to build their email list?
I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's okay to spend time on social. There's a lot of good value in it. I don't want to say that there's not value in it, because there absolutely is. But you have to use it strategically. You have to think about what it is that you're going to get out of it. And for us, and for a lot of the businesses that I've talked to, that value is moving people sort of down a chain or down a funnel, if you will, where they've kind of discovered you. Social's a great way to get discovered by potential customers, and certainly to connect with existing customers. But you want to move people in that audience towards something that I think you said it's a little more intimate, or it's a little bit more one-to-one. And email is an example of something where I can talk to you more like I'm talking to you now. I can communicate directly with you. I can send you send me a response. It's in your inbox. There's a thread created around it. Social, it's very fleeting. It's very, it's here today, gone tomorrow with any particular post that you're putting up there. And the response rates reflect that. And so what I tell people to do is, okay, use social, get attention there, post pictures, do all this stuff that gets people's attention and gets them to like your page, gets them to start following you. But as soon as you can, as soon as you're identifying who those people are that are paying attention to you, start moving them into a medium where you can communicate with them in a more reliable fashion, in a fashion where they're more likely to see it, they're more likely to read it. You can use a little bit longer form. I mean, Twitter's notorious for being a very short form communication medium, and sometimes you just need more than 140 characters to say something. Into a medium where you can do that. And social is absolutely a good way to build your email list, but that is what you should be doing with it. You should be pushing people to a channel where you can communicate with them more regularly, more effectively.
Right. And someone else I've heard mentioned that one problem with social media is that you're building your business on top of someone else's business. So if you have a Facebook page with, 10,000 likes, if you piss Facebook off, you post like a I don't know, make a post that someone gets really mad at, they can disable your page and delete it like that, and your audience is gone.
Can you imagine running a business like that 50 years ago? Where you said, hey, if somebody doesn't like you, your business is just going to fold up and go away tomorrow. And we readily, willingly do it. People do it every day. And you're absolutely right. I mean, there's a risk to that. Your email, that's what's beautiful about email is nobody owns it as a medium. It's just a channel. Facebook it's a channel, but it's somebody else's toy. It's kind of like AOL was maybe 15 years ago.
Yeah.
If you did something, they could close your service, they could suspend your account, they could change, they could make. It's not even necessarily that you have to make somebody mad. There might be a change to the way that pages are displayed or the way that things are displayed in feeds. One thing I've noticed with my Facebook page lately, just as a consumer, is I'm seeing more and more ads in stream. So people are paying for placement. You have to think about it in terms of Facebook's a company with a multi-billion-dollar market capitalization. They're trying to monetize that. They're trying to grow, maybe get back toward the initial kind of market capitalization that they have when they launched their IPO, and they were valued at $100 billion, something like that. And they've got a lot of money that they need to make in there in order to continue to satisfy investors and continue to grow as a business. And you have to ask yourself, okay, is posting updates just like anybody else would to Facebook, is that going to be something that continues to get attention over time? I'm not saying it's not, but you can make a very good case for why it wouldn't be. And so you really want to stick with something where you own the audience or you own that permission. I mean, because ultimately that's what we're really after. We're after permission to talk to somebody. You don't own that permission when you're on Twitter or Facebook. That company owns that. They're just sort of lending it out or directing it to you.
Right. And I think the problem is that there's so much noise around right now that one of the biggest problems on everyone's plate who is actually online is that they don't know how to filter through everything. So the solution is to just ignore most of it. And what happens is that instead of email becoming less responsive and dead, I really think it's becoming more responsive because people are retreating to their inboxes. They're being more selective about what they let in, which allows them to be more focused on what does get in there. So if you can get someone's permission and you can get their email address, then you're going to have a much more intimate connection with them these days than you did, say, 5 years ago, because email it's just a more valuable medium because it's harder to pull it off.
Isn't that the funniest thing? We run away from things once everybody else starts spending time there. And email certainly has the ability to suffer from the same sort of thing where somebody gets overloaded with emails and they go through and they unsubscribe from a bunch of stuff and they say, I'm going on an email diet and I'm only going to check it once a day or a couple times a week. And so they kind of go through that for a while and then they get onto social media and then they say, okay, there's nothing really going on here. I'm getting too many posts, too many tweets. I'm going to unfollow a bunch of people. We all go through those periods, but what's nice about email is that it does still, nobody's going to give up on email entirely as a thing. They might check it more often, less often, unsubscribe from things en masse now and then, but email is always going to be there. It's always going to be a way that people get information. And that's very valuable to you as a business. I think that there's a lot to be said for distinguishing yourself via your email messages. And that's something you have a lot more opportunity to do, I think, than you do in other channels.
Absolutely. So let's get into some of the nitty gritty, because I think you mentioned in one of our emails going back and forth that one of the big mistakes that people make is that they don't have a welcome message when someone signs up to their list, or if they do, it's a really shitty one, to be honest. So what's the deal there? How do you craft a welcome message that performs? What should people be trying to do with their welcome message? What's the goal here?
I think about it kind of like I always try to relate it to something else that we've all experienced. There's something else that we all know. So when you walk into a restaurant or a retailer or some other business, the well-run ones will typically do a couple of things when you initially come in. They're going to, first of all, acknowledge that you're even there. And if they don't, chances are you're going to leave. You're going to get frustrated, especially if you are an interested customer. If you're walking through a mall and you're just browsing and you pop into a store for 2 minutes and nobody really says hi to you, it's probably not that big a deal to you. But if you're an actual customer, and nobody acknowledges you, that's going to offend you after a while. You're going to be upset that they don't want to serve you. They don't want to help you. And at the same time, if they haven't asked you what it is they can help you with, if you're looking for something in particular, if you're going into a restaurant, okay, how many people are in your party? What kind of table would you want? Do you want to sit inside, outside? Do you like booths, tables, all these things? They're not bothering to learn anything about you. That's going to be a bad first experience for you. And it's going to lead to you not recommending that business to other people, or even worse, recommending that other people stay away from it. And so I think of a welcome message in very much the same sort of way. Somebody's just joined your email list. They're so excited about what you have to say that they willingly gave up their actual correct email address that gets to them so that you can talk to them whenever you want. They must really want what you have to say. They must really care about what you're saying in your business. That first message is your opportunity to follow up on that. That's when they most want to hear from you. Over time, people might open fewer of your emails or unsubscribe after they've been on a list for a while. I think we've all kind of been through that experience where the first few emails we get from somebody, we're opening them, reading them, from top to bottom, responding, clicking links, doing all the stuff. And over time, maybe we get a little bit less interested as that amount of time between when we initially subscribed and when we're getting this email, as that time increases, maybe we're a little bit less responsive. But initially, that first welcome email, that's when you really want to talk to people. That's when you want to say, hey, thanks. I'm excited that we have the chance to talk to each other. Here's this information you asked for. Here's some things that you may want to know about my business. Do you have any questions? Is there something I can help you with? These are all very simple, just very human communications that I think a lot of businesses make the mistake of leaving out of their email, whether they're welcome email or some of the ones that follow it, because we don't think about it in the same way that we would an in-person conversation. And to me, that's a mistake. I think you have to treat it like a one-to-one in-person conversation.
I totally agree. Email marketing, the best way it's done is just as a literal conversation, the way you write, the way you engage, the subject, like everything. It's just a conversation between you and one prospect. It's really very intimate.
And that's especially true for a small business. If I was getting emails from Amazon and they were signed from some marketing manager there, Steve, who says, I really hope you like this bike pump that you're going to buy. Whatever. I know Amazon's a huge company. I don't think it's that big a deal that they have a person behind the business. But for a small business, you are the business. A lot of Aweber customers, at least, are sole proprietors or owners of small businesses, maybe 10 or fewer team members. And so there's very much a voice and a face to the business. It's not just some logo, some brand that somebody made up. It's very much a person. And I think people appreciate that. That's why we do business with smaller businesses.
Right. Okay. Speaking of businesses, what sort of businesses can use email marketing? Is it just online business type of, people, or is it anyone and everyone?
Oh my goodness, no! It's absolutely everyone. Every type of business that you see walking down the street, anybody who has customers and wants to talk to them and wants those customers to refer other people or come back and do business again later. I think email marketing has a place in every business's marketing plan.
Okay. So let's suppose that someone's got the welcome message down. They've introduced themselves. They've asked for maybe a bit of feedback, or they've offered their support if someone has any problems. What do they do after that? How often should they be sending emails? What should they be sending? How do they figure that out?
That's a great question. A lot of that depends on what people are coming to you for. If somebody's signing up for a certain type of information, you've made an offer to them in your sign-up form. They're very excited about that. That's what you want to be sending them. You need to create and then meet expectations. If you're not doing that, and just to give an extreme example, you're running a business. Maybe you have one business that's about office supplies, and you have another business that's about gardening. You're not going to send the wrong information to somebody who signed up for one of those businesses and not the other one, because it's not what they're asking for. At the same time, if somebody's asking for how they're trying to solve a problem, they're looking for a series of how-to articles or an e-course on something, that's the information you need to be sending them. So if you're setting expectations in your sign-up form, that's what you need to be delivering on, and you need to minimize the amount of irrelevant information that's going out to people in those emails. Aside from that, if you're not sure what to say, and this is definitely a common question that we get, I think what you do is you go back and you look at the questions you've gotten from customers. If you've been running your business for any amount of time, you've probably had a contact form on your site, an email address on your site. People are getting in touch with you. They're asking questions. Maybe you've been doing some market research related to your product or your business. You know what those FAQs are. You can very easily create a useful series of emails based on FAQs. You put the question as the subject line of a message, answer the question in the body of the message. And if you absolutely don't know what else to say, that's where you start. You go from there.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it, is questions that people ask, problems that they have. And one thing that I've done before is you can send out an email with a survey with, one question or 2 or 3 questions and just literally ask people, what do they want to know about? What's their biggest, most painful problem that day? And people will reply. It's really interesting. And you get to find out the exact language they use, and then you can come back at them with emails that really do solve their problems.
Yeah, absolutely true.
Do you encourage people to just send out broadcast, which is like one-off emails, or setting up an autoresponder?
I think the best email marketing campaigns use a mix of the two. You certainly want some automatically delivered messages, a welcome message, maybe a couple of messages to follow that up. You mentioned a survey. That's one thing that we do with some of our own email campaigns, and that I typically recommend to people is, some amount of time after someone's been on your list, that person should get a survey. It can be something that you're running through like a Survey Gizmo or a Survey Monkey, but it can very easily just be hey, here's a couple questions, reply to me and tell me what you think. So we do something like that on our blog, for example. A few weeks after you've been subscribed, you get an email that says, hey, what do you think so far? What articles did you like? What ones didn't you like? What do you want to know more about? Hit reply, tell us what you want. And so that's something that we use to, number one, indicate that there are people paying attention over on this side of the communication, and that we do care about the people that are on our email list and we do want to talk to them. But it also helps us to get better. It teaches us, okay, this is good content. This is content that's maybe not so helpful. And these are the problems people are having. And so when we know those things, we're able to create better email campaigns and better content all across our business down the road. You do need those newsletters. You need those periodic messages, because at some point someone's going to get to the end of your autoresponder series. So whether that's 5 messages in, 10 messages in, however many you have, you don't want to just stop talking to people at that point. And so broadcasts or a newsletter, that's a very effective way to continue that relationship over time.
Right, absolutely. I totally agree. All right, so cool, man. We're just coming up to the 20-minute mark right about now, so this is usually where I wrap it up. So before we go, give yourself or Aweber a plug. Tell us where we can find you, maybe the Aweber blog, and then we'll say goodbye. Yeah, I think if you're looking for ways to build your list or for ways to create email messages that are going to make subscribers want to continue to read you, want to refer you to other people, want to do business with you, our blog does a really good job of that. We've been running it for about 7 years now, just publishing email marketing tips, delivery tips, that sort of thing. So if you go to aweber.com/blog, or you just go to anywhere on Aweber and click the blog tab that's up in the upper right-hand corner of the page, it's going to take you over there. There's a subscribe form right on the sidebar there. You can join that list, and we'll send you 1 to 2 emails a week just with the latest email marketing advice that we're publishing. And so that's a great way to brush up on email, maybe get an introduction to it. We publish a variety of advanced and beginner, intermediate type articles. So highly encourage you to check that out. And if you're not familiar with Aweber at all, definitely go check out the website, aweber.com, and try us out for your next email campaign. Okay, well, so I have those links down in the show notes of this episode. Thank you for your time, Justin. Hey, John, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. If you want to discover more insider tips, tricks, and secrets about driving sales with email marketing, sign up for daily email tips from the autoresponder guy. Go to dropdeadcopy.com/podcast. Sign up, confirm your email address, and I'll send you daily emails on how to improve your email marketing and make more sales via email. You'll find out why open rates don't matter, and the 7-letter word that underlies all effective marketing, and much more.